What's up, guys? Echo here. Today I want to talk about a movie I felt that kind of flew under the radar for some people because, horror just had such a big year. My God, my hair. Horror just had a really big year and some really great movies came out. And this movie was talked about for the most part. So the movie I'm talking about is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which is the sequel to 28 Years Later, which is, a long-standing franchise, right? 28 days later, 28 weeks later, 28 years later, and then now The Bone Temple. And I gotta say, this movie really surprised me. I guess I don't want to jump into spoilers this early, and I also don't want to, obviously we're gonna get to spoilers a little bit later in the video, and then I'll tell you my thoughts about what I thought as a whole of my review of The Bone Temple. But yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this. I have a big smile, as you can tell. I'm excited. Real quick, before we get into the video, if you guys could hit the thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. You guys don't have to, but I would really appreciate it. And you guys are really awesome, and I have a lot of fun making these videos. I don't want to stop. I'm probably not going to stop. I don't care if nobody watches. I'm having a blast, and I'm going to stay committed to this, and I'm committed to keep growing with you guys, and I want to keep getting better, and equipment's going to get better, I promise. Just got to bear with us. We got to grind this out right now. So thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. All right, real quick, echo from the future or past, whatever. I've been saying Dr. Kelso at the beginning, so it kind of gets a little annoying, but I do correct it a little later on. But his name is Kelson, not Dr. Kelso. It's Ian Kelson. Back to the video. So like I said, this is a continuation from 28 Years Later, and the main character is Spike. And in the last movie, it was about his mother. Him and his mother were traveling to the doctor, who's the actor that played Lord Voldemort, Ralph Fuentes, or Ralph Fiennes, or something like that. Oh gosh. Okay, so yeah, and he's an amazing actor. So they think that he can cure the mom, right, from the last movie, and he can't cure cancer. She has like a form of cancer, I think, or something. So he ends up just giving her mercy at the end of the 28 Years Later. I know, spoilers, my bad. This is a sequel to Bone Temple, so I mean, you have to know what's going on to 28 years later to understand that. So Spike takes that mercy and he leaves. And he doesn't go back to his dad. He actually, I think they do have like a meeting at the end of the first movie. But this movie, he actually, he ends up leaving. And in the middle of him journeying, right, because he's trying to figure out what's out there, trying to discover himself, like he wants to be on his own right now. He's going on his journey. He gets attacked by a group of guys in blonde wigs. Hence why I'm wearing a blonde wig right now. I don't know if you can tell it's blonde or not. It's kind of hard to tell. So he ends up getting captured by a cult. The cult's kind of weird. They're called the Fingers, and their leader, they're led by this guy named Sir Jimmy. And he says that his dad is Old Nick, which we figure out that Old Nick is actually Satan. So he thinks he's the son of Satan, which is fucking crazy. So when they capture Spike, they bring up Sir Jimmy. He says, like, you have to, the initiation, right? Like, if you want to join us, you gotta kill one of us. So they fight to the death. So they have they're all these people that in the cult. They all wear blonde wigs, and they're all named Jimmy. Like Jimmy something, Jimmy whatever. The guy who's fighting Spike is this guy named Jimmy Shite or some shit like that. And like he's like toying with him, and he's just like, trying to scare him, right? And he goes over and he attacks Spike, and Spike has a knife, and he just stabs him in the leg. When he stabs him in the leg, man, that scene ended up being a little more brutal than I thought it was going to be. Because when he stabbed him in his leg, I think he like stabbed an artery. And so when Jimmy Shite pulled out the blade, he just started bleeding everywhere. And he was like, at first he was just like, oh yeah, you stabbed me, you little shit. And then after he realized when he pulled the blade out, all this blood was gushing out. He kind of realized that he was dying. He was like, oh my gosh. He's like, help me, Sir Jimmy. And so yeah, that happens. So Spike ends up taking Jimmy Scheit's place, and he has to put on the blonde wig, and now he's part of the Fingers. And then they end up traveling. Like it shows them like roaming the countryside, and they come across a group of like a settlement, like a small settlement, like a family, right, in a family home. The people that were gone were like on a hunting trip, and they came back. And when they came back, the Fingers were all there, like Spike and Sir Jimmy basically tells them like, oh, we're just enjoying this hospitality that you guys are providing, and then we're gonna kill you guys. And so one of them ends up escaping. I'm sure maybe she'll play a bigger role in the later movies because she does survive. That bitch punches Spike whenever he tells her to take him with her. She punches Spike. I jumped ahead. That doesn't happen till like later on. Okay, so what happens is when they get into this family, they end up attacking them, and they tie them all up, and they end up, they're like, okay, what should we do for old Nick, right, or whatever? And he's like, well, let's skin them, like take their shirts off. So then they end up, cutting part of their skin and ripping it off, and it's a pretty gruesome scene. And Spike doesn't actually participate in it, and he doesn't even want to be there, so he ends up like running out and getting really sick, up like vomiting. Throughout the movie, there, like the beginning, there's this another Jimmy who's a girl. Her name was Jimmy Inc. And she actually cares for Spike and actually offers kindness. She's really nice to him. Like when others are like, oh, kill him, blah, 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 this, she sticks up for Spike. And she's still part of the cult. Like she believes in old Nick and Satan, like Satanism and shit, but she's compassionate to Spike. And I really like that relationship because at first, 28 years later, I'm going to say is like you really can't trust anybody in this world. And it was kind of like weirdly like a beautiful thing. For me, like I really felt they had a really good connection. And the way it starts off, I'm just like, man, I don't trust her. I feel like she's going to do something. She's going to killing Spike or something. But at this moment, she didn't do anything. She actually was showing compassion to Spike without asking anything from him. She just kind of wanted like to take him under her wing and be like, hey, we just got to stick together, right? So the next scene happens, and it shows Dr. Kelso. He's the guy you see on the trailers, the bald guy with the red dye on him and stuff. He's a doctor from the first movie, and he's the one who actually helped Spike with his mother. And he has a lot of wisdom. He's a little out there, but like I said, he has a lot of wisdom. This next few scenes are kind of very different compared to the rest of the movie. So like it is 28 years later is about zombies, but in this movie, it's really toned down. Like zombies are still obviously a really big threat. And I'm kind of curious if the next movie there will even be a more, because I do feel like they're in the older movies, they were shown a lot more. But I mean, humans were always like the main villain in these type of movies. And so in this one, they do show the zombies, of course. Ralph, oh God, I keep calling him his name. Dr. Kelso. He likes to take care of the infected as well. Like he tries his best to like not kill because he sees the infected as different. And he always sees there's these really big zombies. They're called alphas. And he always sees the same alpha. He gives him a name. He calls him Samson, who was in the 28 years later, the movie before this one, Samson was actually a zombie, an alpha in the past movie. And he actually makes an appearance again, except like when he sees Kelso, he's like starts charging at him. And then every time he charges at him, Kelso will he has this what is it? What are they called? He has an instrument that like he blows in a blow dart. He blows like a homemade blow dart. And he blows on it and it shoots like tranquilizes him. And then Doctor, like, I don't know if I'm skipping. I might be skipping around a little bit. I'm very disorganized. Sorry about that. But that blow dart, like when it hits Samson's actually very at peace, and like he ends up just sitting with Kelso, like, and Kelso will sit with him, and he just starts talking to Samson, and like Samson can't say anything because he's a zombie, he's infected, but like it's very strange that he's just so calm. I know it's just like it's a tranquilizer, right? But he just seems so different. Like he seems at peace, and there's more into. I'll get into more. Maybe I'll tell you this next. I'll tell you this one scene. I'm like I said, I'm jumping out of order when it comes to Samson because I think his story is very unique. I don't think any other zombie movie has ever done this. Basically, when Samson Samson just keeps visiting Dr. Kelso. Like he knows where to go and where to find him. So he always goes and visits Dr. Kelso. And so there's a scene where Dr. Kelso raises his blow dart, and when Samson sees the blow dart, he'll like stop. But then Dr. Kelso puts the blow dart down. Samson will start charging at him again, and Dr. Kelso is like shows him. He's like, you want this? And then like Samson's just like standing there like this, like, and then Kelso's like, he shoots him with the blow dart still. But like I said, they have a very interesting dynamic. I'll get more into what happens a little later on. Let's just move on to the next scene. But like I said, there's like it goes off into two different stories, right? The story about Spike and then also Dr. Kelso, and they're eventually going to intertwine with each other. Also, his name is Dr. Ian Kelson. I don't know. I feel like I'm fucking up his name. So, like I said, Samson keeps following, like he keeps visiting Dr. Kelson, and to the point where like Kelson starts to like try to trust him a little more. I mean, he's still doing the blow dart, but like he's doing it less frequently when they do see each other. And there is a quite interesting scene that does happen. Kelson actually, I don't know why, but he takes he licks the for the blow dart for the medicine, the morphine. I think it has like morphine and stuff in it, the tranquilizer. He actually licks it, and he actually passes out right next to Samson. And when Kelson actually wakes up, the doctor, Samson's gone. He actually didn't even hurt. He didn't even hurt him. He just left him completely alone. And like I said, I'm not entirely sure if this happens next, but this is where the movie takes a really crazy turn. And with Samson totally incapacitated in his state of being tranquilized, he's like you say, he's still like, what's the word? He's still awake. He's still, he can still like, he's there grunting. He's like, and he's looking up at the moon, and him and Kelson are talking, the doctor, and Kelson's talking to Samson, and Samson just keeps looking at the moon, and Kelson's actually about to ease his pain, because he's like, hey, Samson, I'm almost out of morphine. Like, this is it. And I know you're at peace right now, but I could take away, we could do this humanely, and you can just go peacefully by injecting him with this shot. And so whenever he's about to stick him in the neck, or I think he got a little bit, but he didn't inject him, Samson actually is looking up at the moon, and he speaks. He says, moon. And this alone, because this is big, no zombie ever talks in these movies. And Dr. Kelson is like, you spoke? Like, this changes everything he had thought about the infected. Because like he was already very sympathetic for the infected, because he's like, they're still people, right? So this pushes him further to wanting to help Samson, to help the infected. So that's also a very interesting scene that happens, because like I said, zombies don't talk in these movies at all. Like I know in other movies they're like, or games and stuff, the zombies do like grunt and stuff. But the way that it does in this movie when it comes out, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel generic. It doesn't feel cheesy, like, you know, like it's not like that. Like it comes so authentic. Like it just, I don't know, man. It's gorgeous, a gorgeous scene when Samson does that, man. The actor whoever played Samson, good acting, man, very good acting. And so like the next part is like really bizarre. So remember when I had said about Samson and he had spoken a word? So throughout the movie, there is like a journey with Samson. And remember, I told you about he got the tranquilizer, the morphine was bringing him in at peace. And whenever he said moon, this actually got Dr. Kelson, to look more into it. And he starts talking to Samson. He's like, I think you may, like, the infected have psychosis. And this was crazy to me because, like, I don't think maybe, I don't know, maybe you could put in the comments below that if you've seen any movie take this approach, that, like, there's something mentally, within the virus that actually makes them hallucinate. Because he's like, Dr. Kelson's like, because I saw the infected attack humans that weren't even doing anything. He's like, but I also saw them eat babies, and babies are defenseless. Like, why would you want to attack a baby? And he starts thinking that maybe that it's psychosis. Like you're hallucinating that these are threats and you need to, ravage, right? And so he starts coming up with ways to treat it, and he gives Samson some pills, and he's like, okay, this is to treat, right? So he gives them to Samson takes them. I don't know how they got. I think they crush it, or maybe they crush it or something. But he gets Samson's to take the pills, and Samson goes on a journey by himself. And he goes walking, and at first, Dr. Kelson's like worried. He's like, where did Samson go? Because they usually meet at the same time, actually, which is crazy. They usually meet in the fields by the Bone Temple, and then they go to the Bone Temple to, talk and stuff. And Samson doesn't go back. And so Samson, like, he goes to a bus that he was originally at, and 28 years later, he goes to that same bus, and he starts hearing things. Like, he starts walking. He's like, it's like he's hearing voices. Like he can hear like a crowd, and he's just like this, like, And then he goes to the bus. He sits down, and he kind of goes in kind of in a state where he's just like, he's like looking around, and then you kind of get like a flashback of a kid on a bus. And the woman's asking, she's like, ticket? And she keeps saying, ticket? And then like the kid is there, and then like the next scene, it's a full-grown adult, and it looks like Samson. And he like turns over, and the lady, the attendant lady, she becomes a zombie, and she's like, ticket, right? And Samson's like still like, he's still like, he's still an alpha, and he's just like that. And he starts looking around, and he's like, he actually starts talking. He's like, he like softly speaks. He's like, no ticket. And as soon as he says that, he's like, he starts going like this, and he's like, no ticket. And then, like, I could be messing up the words, but as soon as he says that, the bus is, like, filled with infected. And whenever he starts, like, looking around, the infected actually start fucking charging at him. And he's just, like, he still has his alpha strength. He's, like, ripping people apart. But he's, like, he's no longer the aggressive, infected alpha that we saw him earlier when he was like ripping people's head off their spines and shit. He's actually changed. But then the scene ends, and like they kind of leave it ambiguous, because like he's like getting bit and stuff, and he's like, the infector are spitting blood into it, because that's how you get you turn, is either you get bit or you get blood spit into your eye or something. So like they literally spit blood. They're like, pfft. And so he's just there. Like I said, he gets overrun. He starts yelling, and then it goes to the next scene. It's crazy. Because after the attack on the farmhouse, the fingers, or the Jimmies, whatever the fuck they are, one of the people that is tied up didn't actually get skinned. And the reason why is because Sir Jimmy wants him to join the cult. And he's like, okay, so in order to join, they got to do the initiation. So he picks a girl, not Jimmy Inc. Jimmy's a different Jimmy, another girl who does the Teletubby dance, right? I don't know if that's in the trailer or not, but there's this Jimmy who does the Teletubby dance. So he picks her because she's like the smallest one there. And I'm pretty sure he would have picked Spike if Spike was in there because he's like a little kid. But Spike was outside with Jimmy Inc. when he was throwing up and stuff. They end up like fighting, and turns out the Teletubby Jimmy is like insane. She goes off and she's like cutting him and shit. And like in the final moments, she's about to kill him. Something comes up and hits her, and we don't know where it hits her, but like you just see all this like some blood coming out a little bit, and she's just like very dramatic. And then like the camera zooms out, there's a fucking hook in the back of her head, and it turns out it was the pregnant woman from earlier. And from there, the guy who was being attacked, he walks over, like he crawls over, he gets like a propane tank or something. He does something where it like basically turns into like a fucking flamethrower and just starts burning everything down. And that's where that scene came from, where I told you that she's like the chick punches Spike. She takes off running. Yeah, it was a pregnant girl. She takes off running, and they told Spike to go chase after her. But then Spike asks her, he's like, take me with you. And he thinks that she is. And he's like, thank you. And she comes running up to him. And she's like, punches him in the stomach, and she takes off running. Yeah, so that kind of pissed me off. Like, fuck that bitch. And so when Spike comes back, the group, Sir Jimmy's very disappointed, and he's like, why didn't you capture her? You let a pregnant woman beat you, and even though she did all this damage, like Sir Jimmy's full of shit, right? So basically, Sir Jimmy wants to kill Spike. Jimmy Inc. actually steps in and is like, why don't we let old Nick decide? And because she had come across the Bone Temple, which is what Dr. Ian Kelson, what he made. Because the Bone Temple is in the last movie. It's like all these skulls and stuff, like towers of skulls, right? You see it on the movie posters. They call it the Bone Temple, I know. So yeah. So it's like it's a shrine to the dead, a graveyard of sorts. He says, like it's to honor the dead. And she had saw Dr. Kelson and Samson Alpha, and Samson was like I said, Samson's like, he's all drugged up, but he's like in a peaceful state when he's with Kelson. So that's why she thinks that, like, she's like, that's old Nick. She's like, why don't we go there and ask old Nick to see if to let Spike have a chance for, you know what I mean? Like, actually have a chance. And she just, honestly, at this point, I don't know if she actually believes it or she's just buying time for Spike. I think she is buying time because whenever, okay, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let's stick to what's happening right now. So Sir Jimmy agrees and he says, okay, let's show me where you saw old Nick and we'll go check it out for ourselves. Okay, so let's speed run through what happens in these next few parts. The gang, they scout out the Bone Temple and they're like, is that old Nick? And Sir Jimmy's like, he looks, at first he's like, yeah, that's him. That's him. And he ends up going down there by himself because he's like, you guys stay up here. Like, I'll talk to my father, because Sir Jimmy thinks that old Satan is his father. And so he goes down there and he starts talking to him, and he kind of figures out that, I think he like tries to talk to him. He's like, so are you old Nick? And then Dr. Kelson's like, no, I'm not old. I'm old, but I'm not old Nick. No old Nick here. He's like, I'm a doctor. And he said the red is iodine. And so they end up having like a conversation, a pretty deep conversation. Because Dr. Kelson's just, like I said, he's very wise. He's very easy to talk to. Like, when you talk to him, he listens. and he's not like trying to turn it's, you know what I mean? Like he's not somebody to talk over you. Like he'll let you talk and he'll spread what he has to say. And we actually learned that, which is pretty crazy, that Sir Jimmy was actually the little kid from 28 years later. There was a scene where they were at this village and zombies just come rushing in and they eat everybody. They eat the children and everybody that's in the house. And he takes off running. He goes to the church, and his dad was actually a priest. And his dad his dad went crazy, and his dad he was just saying all this crazy gospel stuff, and all the zombies break in, they eat his dad, but he doesn't fight them. He's just like this, and then Sir Jimmy goes hides. And at first I thought maybe that was Dr. Kelson at first, but then you kind of figure out that Dr. Kelson is a little old for, because 28 years later, the kid would be like 30 or something, right? Like not super old, and Dr. Kelson is old, so he was alive before the apocalypse happened. So it's very interesting, right? So he actually, Sir Jimmy actually talks to him about that, and it's very. You kind of see the villain from a different viewpoint because, he actually had a dad and the dad is dead. And so, I don't know, I thought that was interesting. But then he ends up telling, he's still the villain, right? So he ends up telling Dr. Kelson that, hey, here's what's going to happen. My friends, the Fingers, they think you're Old Nick because I told them you're Old Nick. So you're either going to help me or I'm going to kill you. And so they come up with a plan that he has to convince people that he's Old Nick, basically that he's Satan, and that you have to follow Sir Jimmy what he wants, which is kill people, have them join the cult. So spreading all this killing and terror. It's terrible, but I mean, Dr. Kelson doesn't really have much of a choice anymore. So like I said, Dr. Kelson, he has to convince the group that he's Old Nick. So he puts on some ashy makeup, right? And some dark spots on his eyes. Makes him look all spooky and shit. And he finds a record, and he finds an Iron Maiden record, and he puts on his speakers. He starts blasting Number of the Beast song. I don't know if you guys ever heard that song. Pretty good song. They have a voice that starts off the record, and he's talking about in a really deep voice. He's like, the number is 666, number of the beast, and dun, 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 dun. It's a good song. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's seen it. I haven't heard of it. It's called Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. Really good track. Fun track. So Dr. Kelson comes out, and he's got all his flames and stuff. He just puts on a crazy show, and meanwhile he's spraying drugs into the air to help the help the effects. With the people all drugged, they're just like, whoa, right? And he's just flames everywhere, and he actually does a pretty good job of convincing them that he is Satan. And he of course he repeats everything that Sir Jimmy told him, right? He's follow Fingers. He's follow the orders, giving charity. Which when he says charity, Sir Jimmy described charity as basically killing, sacrifices, right? So they kill people, take some people, have them join the Fingers. And so basically he tells them this is what, just follow everything Sir Jimmy says. Everything that Sir Jimmy wanted about what the cult is what Dr. Kelson has to say. So he says it until he recognizes one, which I never understood why movies did this. Maybe he recognized his breathing or his voice. But I never understood, how can you recognize somebody with a mask on? I don't get it. Because then Spider-Man would be caught every single time. That's Peter Parker. But Dr. Kelson recognizes Spike. Like I said, I don't know how, but he recognizes Spike. Maybe it's the mask. I don't know. Maybe it was the mask or the bow. I don't know. Maybe. So he recognizes Spike, and from this point, the cult is actually going to leave. And Dr. Kelson, as soon as he recognizes Spike, he's like, I require one more thing. And Sir Jimmy's like, no, are you sure? I thought that was it. And so he actually tells him, he's like, I require a sacrifice. He's like, a sacrifice? And he starts telling him about a story about how Jesus, Dr. Kelson tells him about how Jesus was crucified on a cross and he came back, right? And he's basically telling him, like, you got to crucify Sir Jimmy. And from this point, all chaos breaks loose. And Sir Jimmy's like, no, this don't listen to him. He's like, if this was old Nick, I wouldn't be able to do this. And he fucking stabs Dr. Kelson in the stomach, in his gut. And Jimmy Inc., at this point, I don't think she even cares. She just she attacks. She goes to attack Sir Jimmy. Like, she's ready to pounce on him. She's like this. And then he's just like, whoa. He's like, I know you're ready to get your lick in. And, they're fighting. And Spike ends up stabbing, he stabs Sir Jimmy. And whenever Sir Jimmy gets stabbed, the others, I think there's like two of the fingers left, come to attack. But then Jimmy Inc. just kills both of them, and she knocks out. She ends up knocking out Sir Jimmy, and she sticks with Spike. Like I said, Jimmy Inc. She's a real one for sure. Like I said, she throughout this whole movie, she looked out for Spike and really had his back. And I really hope the next movies dig deeper into that, and that that Spike doesn't betray Jimmy Inc. Because like I said, Jimmy Inc. was a real one in this movie. Even though I think Jimmy Inc.'s motives are kind of weird, like the whole Satanism and stuff. Like, I'm kind of curious if they're going to dig deeper into that, or they're just going to leave that behind. So it's a really sad moment because Dr. Kelson, he's dying. Spike and Jimmy Inc. aren't doctors, so they don't know what to do. And Dr. Kelson kind of accepts the fact that he's going to die. And he's talking to him, and Spike's like breaking down, crying. He's like, why did you do that? Like, they were going to leave you alone. Like, this was over. And Dr. Kelson looks at Spike and he's like, you've had so much suffering already. Like, it's time for you to start living, like the suffering can stop. And he accomplished it. They wiped out the leader, right? They wiped out Sir Jimmy. Sir Jimmy was crazy. He was going to go on a crusade. Like, he was insane. So it had to be stopped, and Dr. Kelson was the one who did it because he convinced them that he was old Nick. And so in the middle of dying, Jimmy Inc. tells Dr. Kelson, she's like, well, you might not be old Nick, but you might not live through the night, but we could still grant your wish in this last thing. So they fucking crucify Sir Jimmy. They hang him upside down, and it's insane. It's crazy. Sir Jimmy's just screaming and calling out for his mom, and he's like, I want my mommy. It's kind of feel bad for him, but he's also, he's a psychopath. He caused so much more suffering for others. So they end up saying goodbye to Dr. Kelson. And in the midst of finally dying, in his last few moments, Dr. Kelson actually sees Samson. Samson goes over to Dr. Kelson. He's like, Kelson. And he picks him up and he says, thank you. And he looks at him, and Dr. Kelson has a really beautiful moment with Samson. Like I said, I feel like that was the highlight of the movie. The highlight is obviously Spike and Jimmy Inc.'s relationship, but I really, really liked Samson and Dr. Kelson's. Their friendship is crazy. And so he ends up taking Dr. Kelson in his arms, and he walks away from the Bone Temple, and we don't really see where they go. And at this point, I don't know what happens, but Sir Jimmy, whenever he's hanging up on the cross, he's like, Father, he starts crying. He's like, you've abandoned me? Why have you abandoned me? And he's like crying, and like I say, he's calling out for his mother. And then, like, this scene fucking got me. Nowhere, just rah! And it spooked me. I was like, oh shit. And like, I don't know if it was just a regular zombie or maybe it was Samson. I'm not sure. It could have been Samson because like Samson was right there. There are zombies here. And that's the end of pretty much the movie. And afterwards, excuse me, afterwards it sets up for the next movie. So you see, and then setting up, you see Spike and so you see Spike and Kelly. I think Jimmy Inc. said her name was Kelly. So you see Spike and Kelly running in the field, and they're being chased by a horde of zombies. And they're up by like a cottage or a house, right? Like a farm or something. And it's actually the main character from the original 28 Days Later. And which is, I think everybody knows who that handsome son of a bitch is. So it's Jim, and he has like a daughter, maybe a daughter. I'm not sure who the other girl is. It's a little girl. And she goes out. She's like, "Do you hear something?" The little girl says, and that's when they look on a little telescope or whatever, and they see Spike and Kelly running from the horde. And she asks him like, "Are we gonna help him?" He's like, "Of course we are." And credits. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. So, what were my thoughts? Man, this movie kicks ass. It's awesome. I had a good time with this movie. I do kind of feel like 28 Years Later was a little bit better, but don't get me wrong. I like the Bone Temple was good. Like I really enjoyed it. The reason why I say 28 Years Later was a little bit better, because like the zombies were like, there were some moments in that movie where just like your heart is just like it feels a little more scary. None of the movies are like super terrifying. Like I said, the only scene that got me in the Bone Temple this time was the jump scare at the end, and I'm just like, God damn it, I wasn't ready. But yeah, like I said, Bone Temple, super fun. The characters, the world building, the psychosis and the zombies. Like I never had thought about that. And I think it was really interesting the way they integrated with that. I don't know if it's going to fully work out, but we'll see what happens. I mean, they don't really have the notes that Dr. Kelson had. And I don't know if Samson's going to next movie be the traveler and be like, I have the cure, you know? I hope the sequel doesn't forget about, what this movie built upon. Like, I hope somehow we still get Dr. Kelson like mentioned, or some maybe flashback scenes with Samson, right? I really hope we do get to dive deeper into Samson as well as Jim. I hope Jim's just not like a side character. I hope Jim's back. I hope Spike and Jimmy Inc., Kelly, like they continue their relationship. So man, this is a good one. It's fun. I really had a good time with this. I really think you should give it a shot if you haven't seen it. 28 Years Later, watch The Bone Temple, watch 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later is okay. That one's more, I would say, probably zombie focused. If you like zombies, maybe check out, 28 Weeks Later. This is 28 Years Later is just crazy. The way 28 Days Later started, like I feel like it's pretty huge difference. But great movies, it's a good trilogy coming up. I'm really excited about the next movie. I really can't wait. So, do I like The Bone Temple? Hell yeah, I liked it. I think it's underrated. I think everybody did a freaking hell of a job. Spike did pretty good still. The actor, the one who played Jimmy Inc., Kelly, phenomenal job. Everybody, all the actors did great. Really missed Aaron Taylor Johnson in this one. I thought he was really good in the first one as well. He played Spike's dad. Kick-Ass, the guy who played Kick-Ass. All right, so if you made it this far into the video, you a real one. Respect, big dog. yeah, so I have other videos you can check out. I did those last few videos. I kind of did. I was just kind of focusing on anime, but like if you guys seen my other stuff, like I would review a lot of horror at first, and not that I want to move away from horror, cause I really like anime also. So I mean, I do a bunch of reviews. Maybe just I don't know if they're really reviews or just breakdowns really, but I really enjoy making these. Like I said, if you want to check out any other stuff, that'd be awesome. Like I said, you're a real one. Respect, dog.